While you were toking it up on 420, you might not have remembered that it was also Hitler's birthday, because that is something I totally remembered this past 420. Well, Alex Jones remembered, and he tweeted this, and I'm not even gonna try to imitate his fucking ashtray voice. Happy birthday to the man who got 24 million Germans killed. Hitler also launched a world war that killed another 80 million people. Just because our rulers are evil does not mean Hitler was good. Fuck Adolf Hitler. Now you might be thinking, wow, what a high bar, the man who smeared grieving family members of murdered school children immediately after a school shooting, and whose audience still to this day harass said family members, doesn't like Hitler. Yes, saying Hitler was a bad person is one, a huge understatement, and two, one of the most no-duh statements of all time. But not to a lot of Alex Jones's audience, apparently. A lot of the top replies under his tweet is Holocaust denial, saying Alex Jones sold out, Hitler was actually a good person, and it shouldn't be surprising at all that Alex Jones has cultivated an audience like this because for decades, he has made a career off of playing right into people's irrational bigotries and fears. You want to know who also did that? Hitler. Germany was impoverished following World War I, and he saw an easy scapegoat in Jewish people, because many German banks at the time were ran by Jewish people, and even that has roots in anti-Semitism, because centuries ago, Christians viewed lending money as a sin, so they handed that job over to the Jews. But acknowledging historical reality and the fact that Jewish people were limited on what occupations they could hold in Christian societies during the Middle Ages is far harder than just blaming a singular group of people for economic disparity, and having a boogeyman to point your finger to is going to make people who are already living in impoverished and desperate times more likely to flock to your cause. And many politicians today engage in the same fear-mongering. Immigrants are taking your jobs! When in reality, companies love preying upon immigrants who will do cheap labor because they're desperate enough to get a job. Capitalists see an opportunity in that to increase their own profits because they don't have to pay their workers as much. But what's the easier scapegoat, acknowledging that reality or just saying we gotta deport all these foreigners invading our country and stealing jobs away from real hard-working Americans? And pundits like Alex Jones are at the forefront of this rhetoric because they are the personalities that millions of people see on their TV screens or computer screens or their phones, etc., feeding them this garbage. It's easier to have a boogeyman to point the finger at than actually addressing the issues with the economic system you live under, because you were probably told your whole life that this is the country where opportunities are endless. You don't want the mirage to fade away, and capitalists especially don't want the mirage to fade away, because they want to continue increasing their own profits while everyone else just gets crumbs under the table. You might think I've skewed so far away from the initial topic of this video, Alex Jones denouncing Hitler and all the Nazis in his audience, getting upset that he did that. But what I'm trying to hammer home is this is the byproduct of the type of content that Alex Jones and his ilk create. They cultivate an audience of people who are taught to fear people who look and act different from them. They are told that these people come to this country with nefarious intent, like they want to take their jobs and commit crime. So it is no surprise that many of these people who listen to figures like Alex Jones turn to extremist ideology like Nazism, a political ideology that has no real philosophy outside of eliminate political opponents and people in general that I hate. When you make a career out of spewing nothing but hateful and divisive garbage, these are the kind of people you're going to attract. And it's far from just Alex Jones who has an audience like this. For example, like a month ago, the Babylon Bee made a joke about white nationalists, and you saw something similar in the replies under their tweet, a bunch of far-right extremists getting upset. Well, one, it is so fucking hilarious that all of these people who go on and on about how the left is supposedly so sensitive and they can't handle comedy, all of a sudden can't handle being the butt of a joke themselves. And two, the Babylon Bee's usual brand of humor is making fun of LGBT people or people of color with no punchline outside of aren't these people so stupid and disgusting? If that's going to be your only contribution to the world, then no shit, you're going to have have a lot of hateful people in your audience. But people like Alex Jones and organizations like the Babylon Bee are cogs in an enormous machine that is designed to keep average people at odds with each other. Because the only people who benefit from the average Joe either focusing on completely made-up issues or real issues but coming to the completely wrong solution are the billionaires on top. A lot of political discourse in this country is just wokeness is a plague. We gotta do something about all these trans people who just want to exist. Or there's plenty of people who are able to correctly identify that a lot of people in this country are in economic turmoil currently, but then they blame the problem on immigration instead of capitalists who want to exploit workers. There's no secure social safety net if you're not already wealthy, and many people in this country just barely scrape by while those on top continue to hoard profits for themselves. And people like Alex Jones want to tell Joe Schmo from like bumfuck Iowa or whatever, who have probably never seen someone with a darker tone of skin, that the real problem is that poor immigrant crossing the border because they want a better future for themselves, or any family they may have. And probably least important of all, but this really highlights how disgusting of a platform Twitter is these days. A lot of the Nazis in Alex Jones' replies have blue checks right next to their names, meaning they're paying for Twitter Blue, which means that their garbage is signal boosted by Twitter. These are the kinds of people who are more likely to end up in your feed and explore tab. People who don't think Hitler did anything wrong, he was a good guy, and are Nazis themselves and deny the Holocaust. Great fucking platform, am I right? Anyways, I've ragged on Twitter enough on this channel, so I won't harp on that too much in this video. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.